I'll get right into this. A couple of weeks ago, I received a letter that changed my life, certainly changed the course of my life in politics. And I'm going to read you that letter now and let you know that the author of it is sitting across from me. It reads, "My name is Philip Turney. I am 77 years old today. On June 8th, 1967, I was just 20 years old when the gallant crew of the USS Liberty was savagely attacked. Our American flag was proudly flying on our ship in the Mediterranean Sea that day. The designation AGTR-5 was clearly painted on the bow, port, and starboard sides. USS Liberty was written in English on her stern. When we arrived on June 7th, we were overflown by Israeli reconnaissance aircraft, and the same activity was repeated on the morning of June 8th. We were positively identified as American and friendly by the IDF. We had requested a destroyer escort long before we entered the Mediterranean, but we were denied twice. Our captain assured us that we were clearly marked as American and we therefore had nothing to fear. We were alone, 12.5 miles off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula, always in international waters. The Israeli reconnaissance aircraft were clearly marked with the Star of David. We therefore felt secure, seeing a flying boxcar and other smaller recon propeller aircraft taking good care of us. The attack began at 2 o'clock on a beautiful, bright, sunny day by French-made Mirage and Mistral jets painted black with no markings. We had no clue who was attacking us, but assumed it was an Arab state. During the first pass-by, the jets took out all but one of our transmitting antennas, as well as every watertight door above the waterline. The air attack lasted about 25 minutes, killing and maiming our firefighters and any sailor who moved. Our radio man took one antenna offline, so it wasn't transmitting and wasn't hit. He ran a long wire to it, and the SOS went out to the 6th Fleet. It was even picked up as far away as Vietnam. Rockstar, Rockstar, under attack by an unknown jet aircraft. Help us, help us. Captain Tully, skipper of the USS Saratoga, sent jets to come to our aid. Before the jets hit the horizon, they were recalled by Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara.
Whoa.
Captain Engen of the USS America and Tully relaunched more aircraft to aid us. They were also recalled, this time by Lyndon Baines Johnson himself. He said, quote, "I don't care about a few dead sailors. I will not embarrass my ally, Israel. Return to base immediately," end quote. How did he know who was attacking us if we did not? We were set up by our own government to let a foreign government have their way with us. The IDF even dropped napalm on the bridge of our ship. How low they would go, we would soon find out. 3 motor torpedo boats headed our way, and one torpedo hit our starboard side. We saw the Star of David on the boats. They were there to sink us. The attack continued for another hour and a half. Attacking jet aircraft destroyed all but 3 of our life rafts, which we had put overboard. We were going to place our most seriously wounded in them so that they would have a chance at life. But the IDF would have none of that. They shot 2 of them out of the water and took one aboard their boats as a trophy of the kill. They continued shooting and killing my mates. They left and we thought that it was over, but it wasn't. IDF helicopters were sent with troops armed and ready to board our ship and finish us off. Then they just left. I guess the gig was up when the mighty IDF could not sink our defenseless ship. When it was all done, there were over 821 rocket and cannon holes and over 5,000 armor-piercing bullets riddling the ship. Napalm was burning us up, and a 40 by 40 foot torpedo hole was in her side, causing the ship to list badly to our starboard side. We then waited 17 hours for help. I guess they hoped that we would sink that night. Help was only 40 minutes away from us, but they left us out alone to die. When the USS America and the USS Davis arrived to help us, they took our wounded to care for them. Their wounds were so horrific, words cannot explain. Admiral Kidd boarded our ship a few days later, and the cover-up immediately began. We were ordered to never speak of the attack to anyone, not even with one another. Penalties would be fines, imprisonment, or worse, and we all knew that worse meant death. We have been treated like garbage for the last 57 years. Congress has been bought and paid for, with the exception, over the years, of a few brave lawmakers. Their names are Representatives Pete McCloskey, Paul Findley, and Jim Traficant. As the courageous Rep. Thomas Massey has noted, All Republican members of Congress except for him have AIPAC handlers. We can assume this is also true of nearly all Democrats.
His wife mysteriously passed away right after that.
We are the most decorated ship in naval history for a single engagement. I believe God saved us that day to allow us to communicate the truth of this attack to leaders like you. We give all power to Jesus Christ. We are just his servants that horrible day and now. The USS Liberty survivors are the biggest whistleblowers this country has ever seen. We have been smeared as anti-Semitic, Jew haters, and Nazis. Our only sin is that we survived. We didn't kill anyone. Israel did all the murdering that day, and the U.S. government did all the covering up. I'm asking you to help us save America by telling others the facts about the slaughter of my mates. We are begging you to support us. Respectfully, Philip Turney, the president of the USS Liberty Veterans Association.
Candace Owens on the USS Liberty, going out on a limb, obviously free from the Daily Wire, and she's hitting some very tough topics for certain people. After the attack, Israel said that it was an accident. They said that in the confusion of war, the forces misidentified the Liberty as an Egyptian vessel. Doesn't even sound possible. Sounds like absolute nonsense. Many survivors of the USS Liberty attack maintain that it was a deliberate act. Ernie Gallo, president of the Liberty Veterans Association, stated, "We now know that the Navy Court of Inquiry was merely for show, as the officers were told to come to the conclusion the Liberty did its job and the attack was accidental." Not all veterans involved believe in a cover-up. Some say that they believed it was an accident. So we have some people who probably are like...
To have the privilege to stand with the Jew is a tremendous honor.
In the immediate aftermath, Israel apologized and offered assistance to the USS Liberty, which was refused due to the sensitive nature of its mission. Israel maintained that the attack was a case of mistaken identity. I'm sure. They provided compensation to the United States and the victims' families. In May of 1968, Israel paid $3.32 million, equivalent of about $30 million in 2023 to the U.S. government and the families of the 34 men that were unlived. Yeah, the money to the government makes a lot of sense when the government was allegedly in on it. In March of 69, that funny country paid another $3.5 million, $30 million, about again, to the men who had been wounded. In 1980, Israel agreed to pay $6 million, that's about $22.2 million in 2023, as the final settlement for material damage to the ship plus 13 years of interest. Let's get back to the Candace Owens interview.
Horrible day and now. The USS Liberty survivors are the biggest whistleblowers this country has ever seen. We have been smeared as anti-Semitic, Jew haters, and Nazis. Our only sin is that we survived. We didn't kill anyone. Israel did all the murdering that day, and the U.S. government did all the covering up. I'm asking you to help us save America by telling others the facts about the slaughter of my mates. We are begging you to support us. Respectfully, Philip Turney, the president of the USS Liberty Veterans Association. Great honor to have you here today.
Thank you, Candace. It's a great honor for me to be here and represent the gallant crew of the USS Liberty that had been treated so badly, as I said in the letter, for 57 years.
So I just want to start just really at the beginning, I guess. When did you sign up to be in the United States military?
I joined the Navy at 17 years old at San Diego, California. That's where I went to boot camp. I did 2 tours of Vietnam before I got aboard the USS Liberty. And I did 3 tours with her, including her last. So that was my naval career. And I got out of the Navy, and then I wasn't working at the time. I thought I'd never go back in because why would I go back into a place where people are going to try to kill me? But I wasn't working, I had a baby. So I went back in and I got aboard the USS Maddox, DD-731, which was in the Tonkin Gulf, which was another false flag.
Wow. So just as a question, I mean, most people, just being in the Vietnam War, I mean, that was traumatizing enough, obviously. So you came back and you decided that you were still going to serve the country. When exactly did you find out that you were going to be aboard the USS Liberty?
I found out when I got orders to go to the East Coast from the West Coast. I was on an ammunition ship then, USS Mauna Kea AE-22. I said, well, great, I'm going away to the East Coast, and I always wanted to go there anyway. So I ended up on the Liberty. And when I got aboard the Liberty, they said it was a ship that mapped the bottom of the ocean. And I said, wow, how could that be when all the antennas are going straight up?
Mm-hmm.
But I was a dumb kid. I believed anything they told me until a few months after that. And I said, no, this ain't right. We're a spy ship.
You're there. So here you are, and they're like, you're just here to map the bottom of the ocean?
Yes, that's what they told me.
Okay.
Well, there were two different crews aboard that ship. There were 200 spies, CIA, NSA spies. And I was in ship's company, engineering. And there were 100 of us, and with the other guys, bosun mates, cooks, things like that, to run the ship. Our only job, Candace, was to make sure that the communication technicians got where they had to go, so they could do their deal.
Okay. And so when did you notice, or I guess when did it become apparent to you? How long had you been aboard before you went, I don't really think that we're here to map the bottom of the ocean? Did they tell you, hey, I'm actually in the CIA or I'm in the NSA?
No, they didn't talk to us, and we didn't talk to them. We weren't allowed to.
Okay.
And so it was two different crews. And I we figured it out pretty quick what was going on, but yeah, it was so secret. I mean, everything was secret, very, very secret.
And did you, just wondering how the setup is, are you sharing a room with 4 or 5 people? How does that work on the ship?
Well, I was in a bunk room with about 70 men.
70 men in one room. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was engineering spaces. And up forward was the bosun mates. That's where they had their berthing. The spies were in the back of the ship.
Okay. And so what's a typical day like?
Typical day was get up, take a shower, go to chow, go to work, stand your watches. And when we were out of sea, we'd sunbathe a lot because, we were always off the coast of Africa. And we were doing reconnaissance there, up and down the coast, 4 or 5 miles an hour, all the time. And we just go up and down and up and down. We go to ports, different ports, Luanda, Angola, Abidjan, you name it, all the ports on the west coast.
So it's beautiful.
Oh my, was it ever. Great taste, pineapples, everything. It was great. I love those people. They were good to us.
And you're also thinking this is very low risk. You're going, hey, in terms of having an engagement, I'm being sent out here. It's beautiful weather. We're sunbathing. Things are looking up.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was good duty. It was great duty. But on the last cruise, we were headed to Africa again, just like we always did. We stopped in Abidjan, and this was in June. And we got emergency orders to leave. We'd just gotten there. We got emergency orders to leave, get everybody back aboard ship ASAP. And we took off for points. We had no idea where we were going, but the 6-day war was what's going on.
Okay.
And we didn't know it.
Oh, you didn't know it was going on?
No, not till a little bit later.
Wow.
Okay. So at this point, and just to be clear, how long had you been aboard the USS Liberty?
I did a little over 2.5 years on the Liberty.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
You had seasick, not seasick at all then, I guess.
I got seasick every time I went out.
Wow. That's
For about a week, and then it was gone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now you get these emergency orders, and you have no idea where you're going. Are they giving you any information, or they're just saying it's an emergency, everybody get back in?
everybody get back in, and we headed to Rota, Spain. We picked up 3 Marines. They were linguists, and
6-Day War is another one of the Middle Eastern wars. Again, all those Middle Eastern wars are the survival of one country. That's what they're always. It's one country that has to survive, exactly like what we see right now.
a civilian, Alan Blue, he was he was killed, by the way.
Reiterate where it was displayed and also how large the flag was.
Right, it was on the map.
So how does a spy ship have their flag displayed? It's a legitimate question or ignorant question. I don't understand how they could be a spy ship and have their flag waving, but it's a big ship, so you can't hide. So I don't know.
And the flag was brand new. It was a 5x8 flag, very visible. It was 12 knots going over across the deck. You could see the flag, and in fact, the Israelis identified us as American and friendly.
How do you know that?
Well, we know it because of the intercept we picked up, and they admitted it themselves. We were on their war table. They identified us as American. And when they changed the watch, they forgot to tell the other watch commander that we were there. They took us off their war table. So we no longer existed.
Okay. When you say take you off the war table, I'm not familiar with that lingo.
Okay.
So what does that mean? They took us off the war.
Well, on the war table, they have like different ships or different.
Like literally set up the table
Right.
that shows you.
Right.
Okay.
And what's going on. And they took us off. So we were gone to them.
Mm-hmm.
They thought. But they knew exactly what they were doing. Exactly what they were doing. When they overflew us, they took the pictures of all the ship. They knew exactly what to hit and when to hit it. And I might add, I believe, and I think most of my shipmates believe, that this attack was planned a year in advance.
A year in advance?
Yes.
What makes you say that?
Well,
remember, this is the same country that planned the pager incident. Remember that? They basically set up this incident where they planned for, I think it was over 10 years, where they planned to make these pagers detonate. So they're patient, very, very good at spying, surveillance, subversive techniques. The handheld pagers and other devices, communication devices in Lebanon, everyone attributes that to the same country. They had 2,700 injuries, at least 9 people unlived, many suffering burns from these 1998 Motorola pagers that they somehow detonate. So how long did they wait for the pager gate or pager attack? One of the kind of the most famous attacks now in military history. It was said that Lebanon brought the pagers into the country 5 months ago. They said that they were built damn near 10 years ago. So 1 year in advance, I would expect that they would have some planning there. I would not be surprised. Let me know what you think. What Candace doing here, is this worth talking about? I think it is.
I believe, and I think most of my shipmates believe, that this attack was planned a year in advance.
A year in advance?
Yes.
What makes you say that?
Well, there was another spy ship in the area, USS or the SS Valdez. It was a civilian manned ship, but it was owned by the Navy. It could have done the same thing that we were doing, but they took them out of the area. Sinking the USS Liberty is a hell of a lot sexier than sinking the Valdez.
Why is that?
Well, it's all American sailors and Marines. They wanted this at the bottom, and so they could blame it on the Arab states and bring us into World War III.
Wow.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Now, it's the morning of the 8th, and you like you said, on the 7th, they took pictures, they positively identified you, you were able to hear this over the radio. did they still have at that moment the CIA agents on board?
Yes, yes,
The NSA agents were on board, so you still got the exact same amount of people that are on board here.
right,
Okay, so we're talking about a pretty big sacrifice they were willing to make.
right.
Total number of people?
294 souls.
294 souls. Okay. Take me through what happened on June 8th. You get up.
We get up at 0600, and like I say, we go to chow and take a shower, go to chow, go to work. We had a damage control drill just before the attack, say about 1 o'clock. And I was in damage control. I was assistant on-scene leader in damage control. And I was in an impregnated suit, which is a suit for washing down the ship of chemicals. And it was very, very hot that day. I mean, 100 degrees on the deck, easy or more. And I thought I was going to pass out. It was so hot. Finally, it was over with. And I went and stowed my gear. Excuse me, the sound-powered phones weren't working on the starboard gun mount.
The sound?
Yeah, they're sound-powered phones, from just like, you could put on headphones, but they were sound-powered. They weren't electrical. And for some reason, it wasn't working. And I went to the IC shop, and I got a friend of mine, David Skolak. He was an IC seaman, and that was his job, take care of the IC system there for sound-powered phones and the IC system, intercoms on the ship. And he came up there, and the gunner's mate was up there also. They were manning the guns. We were in a condition 3, just in case, because we could see the bombs going off and everything on the Sinai. So we thought, that this is really not a good place to be. And just as soon as I left that gun mount, about 30 seconds after I left it, I got back to my workstation, and all hell broke loose. The attack began.
What's the first thing you remember?
First thing I remember was all hands get to your general quarter stations. We're under attack. We're under attack. And I got to my GQ station, which is in the front part of the ship. And those 2 men that I just left there, not a minute it took me to get back up there. They were dead. They're blown to bits.
Wow.
Anything that moved aboard that ship, they were shot at. As in the letter, they took out all of our antennas within 3 seconds. Our 450 caliber machine guns were gone. Every watertight door was hit. And this went on for 25 minutes, dropping napalm on us.
Damn.
25 minutes of that, you can't imagine. Every second was like an hour. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. And you got people severely blown up, wounded badly. And it continued and continued and continued for 25, 30 minutes. And then there was a lull. We saw the torpedo boats coming. We thought, the Star of David, oh, good. Because these were unmarked jet aircraft. We didn't know who was attacking us. We thought it was the Arabs. And then we saw the torpedo boats. And
There was.
Star of David. Oh, man, here's our best friends.
They're not semis. They are Arabs to me, though. They're all sand people.
Come help us. No, they come to sink us.
When you talk about them dropping napalm, and so they did this immediately, what does that do for people that are not aware?
Oh, shoot.
What is the purpose of that, and how
like
does the
fire.
body react to napalm, the chemical agent?
Jeez.
It can burn you severely, and it also can explode your lungs. Very, very hot. I tried to go up and put it out with CO2, and I couldn't do it. They shot up all our fire hoses, too. We had no way to fight fires with water at all. They shot them all up.
Instantly, in that first 25 minutes.
Yes.
So they took out
everything.
the
Strategic.
antennas instantly, the fire hoses instantly, so you couldn't take out
So
fire.
they had to know exactly
and
what ship
during
it
those
was.
25 minutes, what were you doing specifically?
I was getting people off deck, taken to a triage in the mess decks. the whole mess decks was full of people laying on the tables, on the floor. It was a sea of broken and bloodied men.
They're sitting ducks.
And it continued like that for, like I say, for the entire attack. And then the torpedo boats got up to us. They did.
Damn. Go ahead and support Candace Owens. Man, it's tough to watch, tough to listen to, but I have to give my shout out and respect to Candace Owens for having the discussion, having him on, and let me know what you think.